All right, the vote for what many on Capitol Hill consider to be the most influential chairmanship in the financial world is taking place next week. Two names are being floated as the top contenders. Congressman Andy Barr, a member of the Financial Services Committee, is one of them, and he joins us this morning. And Congressman, thank you for being here with us this morning. Most people see you as the frontrunner to this. Want to ask about what your plans for the Financial Services Committee would be if you take that chairmanship.
Well, good morning, Becky. And on Election Day in November, the American people sent a very clear message, and that's that the country's on the wrong track and they want change. They want a better, brighter, more prosperous future for themselves. They're tired of inflation and they're tired of an economy that's left them behind. And while it's true that the stock market is at all-time highs and unemployment is down, the fact of the matter is inflation has made life very hard for average Americans, especially Americans who live paycheck to paycheck and are not invested in the stock market. And that's why Republicans control the House, the Senate, and now the White House with the election of Donald Trump. So we have to deliver. We have to deliver on bringing price stability back, lowering the cost of living, and then unleash this economy. We need to give this economy the jet fuel so that wages exceed inflation and prices. That's our goal. That's our mission, to restore the American dream through the power of free market capitalism.
Well, you've described yourself as somebody who wants to marry the Trump-style populism with the free capital view of the world. And I guess I wonder what that means just in terms of the actual bills you'd be putting forth and in terms of the regulations that you'd be pursuing. We've heard about things like a credit card cap to make sure that you can't charge more than 10% interest on credit cards. That would seem to be something that on the face of it would limit bills for average Americans. But I know that's not something you agree with. What do you agree with? How do you get at that?
Well, you know, free market capitalism is America first. Free market capitalism is what made America great in the first place. And, you know, we don't have to choose between Wall Street and Main Street. We need both, and they need each other. And so that's why I think I can build a bridge between those traditional Chamber of Commerce, Wall Street Republicans, and the America First populists who elected Donald Trump. We will work with this administration, and the impulse of lowering interest rates on credit cards is good, because the reason why Americans are using credit cards, the reason why Americans are going into debt and have all-time high credit card debt and are maxed out on their credit cards, is because of inflation under 4 years of Joe Biden and Democrat policies of overspending. So the impulse is right, but the truth is, price caps and regulations are not an America First strategy. The America First strategy is competition and choice. More competition and choice, more free markets, more economic liberty. That will give Americans the financial prosperity that they deserve and that they need, and that will actually lower costs and lower the cost of credit. So that's what we're about, is competition and choice and unleashing our capital markets. And when lenders compete, prices and the cost of credit comes down. That's what we're going to be doing.
Maybe where you agree with some of the populism a little more is where it comes to the Fed. You have said you're in favor of Fed reform and Fed accountability. What does that look like? What's wrong with what the Federal Reserve is doing right now?
Well, you know, I had breakfast with Fed Chairman Powell yesterday. I think he's doing a good job. We're at the precipice of that soft landing. But I told him the reason why the election results came out the way they did was that the American people are not satisfied with where we are on inflation. And let's not retarget inflation above 2%. Let's get that down to 2%. He committed to me that the Federal Reserve Board would be focused on getting us down to that 2% target. But the truth is, lowering the rate of inflation will not lower prices. We actually need to grow the economy. So we talked a lot about regulation, and we've got to stop this Basel III endgame that would really punish our banking sector and make it less competitive. I actually went to Basel, Switzerland, and visited with the Basel Committee that put out their proposal for harmonizing bank capital rules across the world. And they admitted that the Federal Reserve gold-plated their proposal. They went way beyond, the Fed went way beyond what even the Basel Committee and the Europeans were proposing. We need to make our banks competitive.
Congressman,
yes, well capitalized.
Let me just,
but the banks are well capitalized.
Let me just go through this point by point. When you say you want Fed Chairman Powell, and you told him you want him targeting 2% inflation because that's very important, I mean, that sounds to me like you don't want him to continue cutting rates, and that sounds like it's in direct opposition to what incoming President Trump will want.
No. What I'm saying is, obviously, we do want a normalized monetary policy and gradual reduction of interest rates. But we obviously, and there's quantitative tightening that's going on as well. Don't forget that. That is restricting money supply. That will also bring down the cost of living. Really,
but if we are not at 2% yet and they are cutting rates, the natural argument would be they shouldn't be cutting rates. They should be waiting until we get to 2%. If we're at 2.5%, if inflation numbers come out between now and the next rate cut next week, should they not cut rates if inflation's above 2%?
I don't think they should. But remember, inflation is not just a product of monetary policy. There's also a fiscal policy element to it. And I discussed this with Chairman Powell as well. We in Congress need to unleash supply. We need more supply of labor. We need more supply of energy. We need more supply of capital. Supply will lower prices. And that will give the Fed the flexibility then to gradually lower rates, normalize policy, get to that neutral rate, and that will lower the cost of credit. So we have a role to play in Congress. The Fed has a role to play. And that's the goal, is ultimately to lower the cost of living for Americans, but also to make sure that wages rise above the cost of living. That's also why we need a pro-growth agenda.